an athlete her whole life. It was one of the things that made me fall in love with her. Straight away, the doctor put her on the medication metformin to regulate her blood glucose levels, and although we didn't realize it at the time, this moment would mark the beginning of a 5-year nightmare. It didn't take long for the side effects to kick in. Weakness, muscle pains, abdominal pains, heartburn, bloating, you name it, she had it. But still, we trusted the doctors and continued to let the medication help her. As the years rolled by, Kathy's energy levels, vitality, mood, and general health and well-being went rapidly downhill. And although her medication was supposed to help, she piled on more and more weight as she found herself unable to fight the intense cravings for sugary and starchy foods that overpowered her every day. She went from the energetic motivator to sluggish and overweight. And the more weight she put on, the more depressed she became, and the further away she drifted from the woman I'd fallen in love with. And if that was bad, things were about to get a whole lot worse. Just over a year ago, Kathy was diagnosed with high blood pressure and high cholesterol too, and she began to suffer from sharp, stabbing pains in her left leg and foot. She was told that she had nerve damage and was prescribed more meds to deal with that, which created a whole bunch of side effects that left her feeling sick and even more depressed. Before long, she found herself in so much pain because of the nerve damage that she could barely walk or even stand for longer than a few minutes. And because she wasn't able to get out of the house and do any kind of exercise, the weight just piled on, which put added pressure on her heart and other organs. She was stuck on the medication merry-go-round with no escape. Within the space of just 4 years, Kathy's weight had ballooned from a relatively healthy 160 pounds to a massive 216, and her blood sugar levels were becoming dangerously high. Kathy told me she feared the worst. We tried everything to help her get back her independence and health. Exercise, restrictive, boring, tasteless diets, plant-based diets. I even tried to get her to do the high-intensity exercise, but it was just too painful for her. We even tried the impossible 600-calorie-a-day diet that left her feeling weak and tired. In fact, after every single miracle diet, she ended up weighing more than when she started. Weight loss surgery was out of the question as her weight wasn't high enough, and even then it didn't feel right when her weight gain wasn't what caused the diabetes. The diabetes has caused her weight gain. On top of it all, our sex life had completely gone. We found ourselves slipping into a long, boring routine of going to work, watching TV, and going to bed while feeling constantly tired, depressed, unhappy, and dissatisfied. "Don't touch me, I'm fat and disgusting, and I'm always going to be fat and disgusting. I don't want you to touch me," she yelled. When I reached out to hold her, to kiss her, to show her how much I loved her no matter what she looked like, seeing her laying there in pain, grabbing her belly fat, she hated so much. I felt powerless and weak in every way I could never thought I could. She was my wife. I promised to take care of her, but I couldn't. It was the day after that when she collapsed at home while walking to the kitchen. I heard a loud bang and found her on the floor, her head heavily bleeding from the impact of the fall. Her breathing was erratic and shallow. I called an ambulance, who rushed her to the hospital. In the ambulance, she came to, but was barely conscious and confused. Once we reached the hospital, the doctor explained that she had suffered from severe ketoacidosis, that her blood sugar levels were too high, and she was minutes away from coma or death. She was showing all the warning signs such as frequent urination, thirst, fatigue, and shortness of breath, but I just didn't know about them at the time. Her blood sugar was over 480, a potentially fatal level. As I sat there beside her hospital bed, holding her hand in mine, I made a promise to myself. If Kathy survived, I was going to do everything in my power to defeat her diabetes for good, whatever it took. There was no way I was going to let my kids grow up without their mom, or grandkids without their grandma, and I knew I wouldn't be able to cope without her by my side. I was going to fix her, and I was going to do it without drugs. After all, the reason for